What the hell does a gaming laptop mean these days? I don't know how many of you have noticed because it's been a slow transformation, but today's gaming laptops are radically different from what they used to be. Do you remember what gaming laptops used to be like? They were those big, heavy bricks with thick, wedge-shaped designs, massive cooling systems, screens that were just awful, and batteries that lasted, well, about as long as it takes to say Dark Souls. I admit I never liked those because they seemed like they were designed by a 9-year-old with washed out screens and ugly thick bezels. I didn't like them because they risked giving you scoliosis if you put them in your backpack, and I didn't like them because you couldn't even carry them from your bedroom to the bathroom if you unplugged them. The battery lasted that little. But they had one redeeming quality. They were unmistakably gaming laptops. Not in the sense of gaming socks or gaming condoms, but robust laptops that couldn't be confused with anything else. But over time, they started getting thinner, the screens got better, the designs became much more mainstream and easier to digest by the general public, and the batteries started lasting longer when you were on the move, which is good, right? Today, even the 18-inch Strix Scar Beast looks like a normal laptop. If it didn't have the RGB disco lighting on board, you wouldn't even guess that's a gaming laptop. Take a look at this one in front of me. It could comfortably sit on an accountant's desk. So, are all these changes for the better? Well, not exactly. While I don't lament the disappearance of those old gaming dinosaurs, I do believe that today's gaming laptops are going through an identity crisis. They don't differ much from ordinary laptops, and from a technical standpoint, these changes aren't always for the best either. As they've gotten thinner, temperatures have gone up, since manufacturers insist on cramming powerful processors into these slim chassis. Sure, processors' efficiency has improved over time, but performance hasn't always increased proportionally. You can't have it all. A powerful and hungry processor will turn these thin chassis into true heaters, and a weaker processor will make the laptop not so gaming anymore. You can break any rule you want, but not the laws of physics. And that's just one of the reasons why I believe today's gaming laptops are going through an identity crisis. Another reason, in my opinion, lies in the very concept of gaming. What does gaming even mean today? And in this sense, our perspectives and expectations about these devices might be wrong. What are people playing? All the charts show a different reality from the traditional one. Minecraft, Fortnite, Valorant, CS are the most popular games on the planet. And any of these, as the famous saying goes, could be played on a potato. And that's without even counting the hundreds of millions of mobile or console gamers. And no, it doesn't surprise me that titles like Genshin Impact, Call of Duty Mobile or Roblox have tens if not hundreds of millions of players. On the other hand, AAA titles have high system requirements, and for this reason, they often run poorly on laptops, even on those that are considered gaming ones. Those who are truly passionate about graphical excellence play on desktops, for reasons I won't elaborate on here, but which you know very well. So, for what and for whom are today's gaming laptops made? This is a question I'm looking forward to seeing answered in the comments. But what if we are to give up entirely on the now devalued gaming label? And now allow me to reveal the simple and elegant toy on this table. This is the ROG Zephyrus G16 equipped with the new AMD Ryzen AI9 HX370 processor, implemented here in a chassis not so new. The chassis of this laptop is identical to the model released in spring with Intel Meteor Lake. In other words, all Asus did was transplant a new generation AMD processor into it while keeping all other elements intact: screen, cooling, keyboard, trackpad, etc. There is a difference in configuration though. Besides the processor, if the Intel version came with dedicated video cards up to the 4090, this one is limited to only two options for graphics accelerators: RTX 4060 and 4070. The model I have here is the 4060, and I'll tell you later why I preferred this version for testing. I won't dwell too much on the construction and design features because they remain the same as those of the Meteor Lake version, which I analyzed in detail when it came out. The laptop maintains an elegant and minimalist look. It's simple and sober, especially in this grey color, and the only splash of color is this silver diagonal that runs across the lid. The branding elements are also discrete, the only visible one being the Republic of Gamers logo engraved on the edge. On the underside, we have cooling vents and two hard rubber strips that slightly lift the laptop off the desk surface to facilitate airflow. By the way, I wouldn't recommend using this laptop on your lap because it tends to get quite hot under load. And to finish with the exterior, I'll quickly mention the connectivity, which is more than sufficient. A Thunderbolt port, a USB-C port, two USB Type-A ports, an HDMI port, a charging port, a full SD card reader, and last but not least, the traditional combo jack for headphones and microphone. Opening the lid, you're greeted by a huge 16-inch OLED screen, a well-spaced keyboard, a gigantic trackpad, and two large speakers that catch your eye. The keyboard is excellent, with generously sized keys, ideal travel, and a great feel when pressed. Above it sits a hexagonal power button that you won't mistake for just any key, unlike most current laptops, and there's also a set of quick access keys for volume, mute, and Republic of Gamers. I have no complaints about this keyboard, except for the fact that it gets quite warm, as shown by these thermal images, but we'll get to that. The trackpad is enormous and precise, and I have nothing to complain about regarding its efficiency. Both I and my colleagues found the keyboard and the trackpad identical to those on the ProArt we tested a few days ago. I hope I'm not mistaken, but this G16 definitely has a lot in common with that one. Special mention goes to the big speakers, with 4 woofers totaling 8 watts and 2 tweeters totaling 4 watts. The audio system is also capable of Dolby Atmos, sounds great, and is good enough that you can edit sound or listen to music on this laptop. On the multimedia side, it's also worth noting the infrared camera with support for Windows Hello, but it can be considered basic despite its Full HD resolution. And now, let's take a moment to focus on this phenomenal 2.5K resolution OLED screen with a 240Hz refresh rate. It's a gem that I honestly see as more suitable for content creation, video or photo editing than for gaming, even though OLED technology, with its deep blacks, can prove to be an orgasm in games. The display's accuracy came out excellent in our measurements. On top of all that, the panel also supports Dolby Vision, making it even better for movies and TV shows. So, the Zephyrus G16 is an outstanding tool for this activity, helped by the generous 16-inch diagonal and the tiny bezels of the display. There's a slightly wider band at the bottom, but it's partially hidden by the chassis as the lid folds back. Speaking of which, gone are the days when gaming laptops had that unsightly tail, which by the way was practical for cooling. Returning to the screen, 2 more aspects are worth mentioning. One is the brightness, which in our measurements came quite close to the 500 nits promised in the specifications, which isn't bad for an OLED, as this technology isn't particularly known for brightness. The second thing is that this laptop also has a version with a TFT screen at the same resolution, refresh rate, and brightness. But my recommendation goes towards the OLED, even though this makes the laptop more expensive overall. If you're going for it, go all in, and the OLED display is the icing on the cake that makes it worth every penny. The display's format is 16:10, more suitable for productivity, and yet another argument in favor of my thesis at the beginning of this video, namely that today's gaming laptops aren't really gaming laptops anymore. And now let's dive into the technical details inside this laptop. As I mentioned, it's powered by the new AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX370, whose TDP reached up to 70 watts in our tests and performed more than honorably. It's also true that this is the 3rd or 4th time we've tested this processor in different implementations, and again, the G16 resembles the ProArt we tested a few days ago. In Cinebench 24, we scored 1,180 points, in R23 a little over 23,000, and in Geekbench 6, 15,080 points. Although it pains me to keep repeating it, this model also comes with a 50 trillion operations per second neural processing unit that delivered 120 points in the now familiar Procyon AI computer vision test. But the biggest problem with this laptop isn't what the processor delivers in tests, which processor, by the way, is very capable, but the cooling and temperatures. On the processor, we reached temperatures of 95 degrees Celsius in more stressful tests like OCCT or Cinebench R23 in loop, and the laptop becomes extremely noisy and tries to take off from the desk. The chassis temperatures are also concerning, with almost 50 degrees Celsius above the keyboard. Don't even get me started on the back. That's why I don't recommend using it intensively on your lap. The video card, in this case the baby of Nvidia's 4000 family, the 4060 laptop, behaved a bit better, reaching maximum temperatures of around 80 degrees Celsius. I'll quickly give you a few scores on the graphics side. 9500 points in 3D Mark TimeSpy, 21,600 in Firestrike, 5,250 in Port Royal. But as they say, synthetic tests don't tell the whole story. So since it's supposed to be a gaming laptop, I also ran some games. In Cyberpunk, the screen's native resolution with ray tracing on low and DLSS on quality with frame generation, we got a reasonable score of 62 FPS. And when I lowered the resolution to Full HD with ray tracing on Ultra and DLSS still on quality and frame generation, we reached 75 frames per second. However, the pronounced heating of the laptop remains a problem, which didn't thrill me during gaming sessions. In the more popular and less demanding CS2, at native resolution and high graphics, we had a minimum of 120 frames per second and a maximum of 190. And after lowering the resolution to Full HD, we ranged between 190 and 200 FPS. In Valorant, at native resolution, we had between 350 and 400 frames per second, and at 1080p between 400 and 450. Something tells me the 4070 version is clearly more powerful, even though both versions have a maximum of 8 gigs of VRAM, but that version of the laptop might be even hotter. And still on the topic of graphics, I'd mentioned the switch between the integrated graphics card in the processor and the dedicated one. And it seems we're not the only ones who noticed the slow behavior of Optimus, which should seamlessly make this transition. At low load, the used card is the integrated Radeon 890M, and when the laptop is under load, it automatically switches to the 4060. For example, when you're gaming. But this auto switch doesn't seem to immediately recognize these changes, and one of my colleagues even felt the need to manually set the dedicated video card as the default go-to option. But such a decision leads to reduced battery life. Although the laptop has a large 90 Wh battery, it is quite far from the incredible autonomies currently achieved by Windows laptops with ARM chips from Qualcomm. On the bright side, it's worth mentioning that charging is fast. With the large 200-watt brick in the package, the laptop charges from 0 to 100% in under an hour. And you probably noticed I said the large brick. In good Asus tradition, this laptop also comes with 2 chargers, including a smaller one for travel. And to wrap up the hardware section, I'd also mention the 1TB PCI Express 4.0 SSD and the 32 gigs of LPDDR5X memory at 7500 MHz. Before we draw a conclusion, let's address the user experience also, which is exactly what you'd expect from an Asus laptop. Obviously, Armoury Crate and My Asus and McAfee couldn't be missing, which personally, the latter drives me crazy. So I'd rate the software experience as quite cluttered and cumbersome. And in the end, there are probably many other things worth mentioning, and I apologize for anything that may have slipped through the cracks, but as I said, the G16 is ultimately the same thing as the Intel processor version we tested in the spring. The important difference being that this one, with the new AMD Ryzen AI processors, is significantly more performant than the one with Meteor Lake. But equally, the temperatures and noise seem to me to be a problem. That's the compromise of increasingly thinner and more minimalist chassis. I'd even go further, and in line with what was discussed in the intro of this video, I dare to say that the Zephyrus G16 isn't what used to be understood as a gaming laptop. If you view it strictly as a purebred gaming laptop, you'll be disappointed. The selection of video cards stops at 4070, and the processor can't fully show its capabilities due to the cooling and thickness limitations, so I wouldn't qualify it as a true gaming laptop. However, if you view it from a general use perspective, it's a great laptop. So think of it as a wonderful tool for content creation thanks to its excellent OLED screen and its hardware capabilities sufficient for such tasks. It's also a fantastic machine for watching movies and videos thanks to the same fabulous screen and top-notch audio system, and suitable for gaming too, as long as your expectations don't mean only playing Star Wars Outlaws or the older Cyberpunk 2077 at high settings with stunning graphics. It's actually a jack-of-all-trades laptop with some aesthetic and technical features that suggest gaming. On the other hand, I think the price is good news. This model is a bit over $2,000, which for a 16-inch thin and elegant laptop with an excellent OLED screen, the latest generation of AI processors from AMD, and a dedicated video card, it's not a small thing. And speaking of productivity and my comparison with the ProArt, G16 is clearly the budget option in this showdown. And now, tell me below in the comments, what do you think about the evolution of this category generically called gaming laptops in recent years? Are gaming laptops still what they used to be? Or can we consider that the current ones are more like all-purpose portables that, among other things, also do gaming? And of course, how do you like this Zephyrus G16? And with that being said, please subscribe to Techniqualities, thank you, and happy gaming!